I could definitely share, the recording with you afterwards as well, just for your information. So that's not a problem. And just feel free to talk about it. And one of the reasons why I do transcription is because I think people that I interview, it's not like CEO from Microsoft. So in the sense that it provides us a little bit more, safety bubble to be able to freely express ourselves. But the transcription is not going to be a very like a total twist of what we speak of. It's just going to be a slightly, kinder, sort of nicer approach of what we talk about, and sort of, let people know what we know.
Yeah, yeah,
Nowadays, yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
I mean, I believe like what your objective is that you really just want to open up the world of product managers and give and make it as accessible as you can to
hmm
other people who are either looking to go into this role, who have no idea about this role. I have a younger brother. He himself is also pretty confused whether he wants to get into product management or project management. Like an hour to explain to him what the hell is the difference between the two. So yeah, it's a very relevant thing that you're doing, and I really appreciate it.
absolutely, yeah, and yeah, thank you for pointing that out, because I think PM and like project managers and product managers are like the question itself is has been repeated over and over again, and just these simple questions, and not even mention that within Hong Kong, like I personally feel that I don't get a lot of help, or I don't get a lot of support of being a PM. There are the resources out there are very fragmented. There are
Mm,
Slack groups out there, but they're never active. Nobody speaks, nobody shares. Everybody's up for their own game, but nobody really contributes or sort of, really collaborate. And most of the
right.
groups are very scattered or very tightly knitted. If they're friends, yes, they're friends, but there's just not as much, not as vibrant, not as helpful, or not as growing as what you would expect in a more westernized world or a westernized region. Yeah, so and during the conversation, if you have any questions, just shoot me and let me know.
Sure,
But
sure,
yeah,
sure.
but I think I don't want to be. I don't want this to sound very interviewy. But if let's say, if you would describe yourself as a PM with somebody who you admire while holding an item, what would that person be, and what would that item be? So it's just for our, for the sake of having people come in and say, okay, who's Lakshay, and how would you describe that? Sort of a PM, a
From a
person.
PPM perspective, right?
Yeah. So
I've got this Rubik's cube over here, right?
yeah,
So I mean, for me, whenever people ask me, right, that what do you do?
yeah.
So whenever I say a product management, initially I just used to say that this is the product, and I'm the product manager who's responsible for this product. But people usually do not understand what the hell does that mean,
Yeah.
because everybody has a different definition of it. Some people think you literally help design
Mm-hmm.
this thing. Some people think that you managed the entire experience and you did market research and all that stuff. Some people just think that, well, you are the ones who actually literally did the hard work of
Mm-hmm.
making it from bottom up, right? Like from designing in CAD and stuff like that. So that's why then I started selling. Then I started saying that for me, my role is such that I look at I look at a product from a CEO's perspective, and try to do a more focused commercialization part than the pure development and the technicality part of the product.
Mm-hmm.
I help my my team and my coworkers market the product, sell the product, and make it more profitable. Those
Mm-hmm.
are my three objectives. So then people are able to still understand that, oh right, okay, it's a different kind of product management that you do. So yeah, that's the thing.
For sure. Well, maybe because the reason why I was asking this question earlier, I think that was 2 weeks ago. I was interviewing somebody from, I think he was from Argentina, and I was trying to get him to sort of picture himself for me, that he describes himself as a Elon Musk who's holding an apple, and that sort of a graphical representation is represents how he sees himself as a PM, because yeah, there are different angles and whatnot, and absolutely right, you're commercializing the idea, you're helping to market, but I think everybody has his own spin and sort of have his own focus, and more of, if you're going to be seeing, or there's so many PMs standing right beside you, how would you sort of differentiate yourself? How would you characterize yourself? And I think looking into, let's say, if I were to describe it to you myself, I would be, let's say, like a Harley motorbike that is made out of Lego. Harvey motorbike that's made out of Lego. And the reason why is because I myself, it's a very community focused kind of person. I like to bring people together, but at the same time, I'm very capable of being flexible, which with building blocks. So I have the technical skills, I understand coding, and I could build things in many different way. But also, that doesn't mean that I cannot communicate with people. I am very communicative, and I build community around me, or with me, or me being there. So I think that's sort of a interesting way of seeing, like, even just to self observe myself, as if I'm going to be a PM, if I'm going to be differentiating myself from other people, how would I want people to see myself? And perhaps, I don't know if that's a question for you as well, is that if you're going to be building a brand for yourself as a product manager in the long run, like 5 years, 10 years, how would that look like? And how would you want people to come and say, hey, Lakshay, I need product management, but what kind of product management can I get from you?
All right. I think from that perspective, first of all, I mean the examples that you're giving of yourself and the Argentinian guy, it's pretty cool. I've never thought of it, but if I really have to really think about it, and say that I kind of I'm somewhat like a Google Translate, who basically, you can imagine that the market is basically a different language. It's like
Mm-hmm.
Chinese, and the guy from Uruguay, and he wants to basically, or he or she wants to basically understand what the thing is. They both basically can't communicate, right? And Uruguay is where the development team is, for example. So my job basically is to really translate the needs to the development, and translate the developed product
Mm-hmm.
into a product that serves the market needs, or find a market where it can really fit into the piece. So I act like that bridge,
Mm-hmm.
basically, that translator, if you want, to really translate the needs into development features, user inputs, whatever you want to call them. And once the product is finished, make that sellable. So so yeah, I do that on a daily basis, right? So yeah, I would I would basically call myself a translator for this case. Yeah.
That's actually interesting that you mentioned, like, translator, because that's really close to what we do, right? We translate, like, either it's a B2B2C, B2B, or B2C sort of requirements. We see in different lenses, from the business side of point of view, design point of view, engineering point of view, and I think the translation really, like, embeds, or sort of like, really encapsulates what your, like, career path is. Basically, you went from different region to different places with different languages. Not to mention, I think at some point you're working on electronic devices, yeah, machineries, and now that you're working in dialysis machine, so it's more of medical. And because where I'm coming from is because I used to work as a translator, like a literal translator. I used to work in Canada. I translate languages between English and Chinese and Cantonese and Mandarin. So for me, like, I would love to know, as sort of a translator, what are some of the most important sort of echoing theme that is within the translation of sort of business and technical and requirements and users? What's the essence? Like, what are something that we could learn from, or something that we need to keep in mind of?
I think it's extremely important to be much more customer centric and market centric, because so far in the different companies that I've worked with, this one, the one that I'm currently working in, is a German company. They have a very different mindset. The previous one that I was working in was an American company.
Mm-hmm.
They have a completely different mindset, and I realized how the products are being designed in
Mm-hmm.
both the companies. One is listening to the market, listening to the customer, and then adopting their designs. And the other one is such that where you design the product because you're basically creating something extremely new, something fabulous, right? Highly engineered. But now you're trying to find out where is the market for it,
Mm.
right? So, so for me, my thing is that as a product manager, you have the ability to bring the change in this loop of thinking,
Mm-hmm.
right? I believe that it needs to be like a control loop. I'm a mechatronics engineer by bachelor's, right? So I know the importance of a control loop and the control theory. It is extremely important to see if whatever you're making, if that is something that is needed or not.
Mm-hmm.
Because if it's not, then you're just wasting your time. We have seen multiple examples for example, in the smartphone industry. Before iPhone, there were tons of phones that were touchscreen, but none of them were as successful because it did not hit the unmet need
Mm-hmm.
at that. So I think recognizing that unmet need, that means that you need to be very close to the market. You need to be on the field. You need to be on the ground. You need to be with customers. You need to be talking to people in your industry to foresee what is coming, what is going to go out. You know, if you have that pulse on the market, once you catch that pulse, then you can basically really help the company become more more profitable,
Mm-hmm.
and use and be much more efficient.
So,
That itself has a very big, it's like domino effect. Small things can really make a big change, and that's what product managers are capable of doing. That's
for
what I.
for sure. Then I think that's one of the sort of echoing theme, well, within the PM community, or the PMs that I talk to, is because I think one thing that's so great with you having an engineer background is you understand the sort of a closed loop environment, or the hypothesis, like how to hypothesize something and really find out the validation of that idea, the importance. It's not something that's like sort of embraced by most of the PM. Yes, we sort of know that because Scrum, Sprint, and all that. Like, people are saying that, yeah, you have
Yeah.
to hypothesize all those crap, and doing MVPs and doing research. But in general, if we look into the market and the business, not a lot of businesses are actually doing that. So, as you mentioned, people are, or businesses are, making product before they even understand what needs to be done, and they don't even understand the problem space enough to build something out. So a lot of the startups in Hong Kong right now are just a legal way of gambling their lives away, which, I mean, they have the money, so I guess it's okay, and just throwing
Yeah.
money into the sea. But yeah, yeah, that absolutely is very true. And actually, that got me into, like, really interesting now, is that, as in, with your engineering background, like, how, or I don't think this is more of an interview, but I think it's just trying to peek into, like, how you would go about a problem. Because, let's say, I'm not somebody with an engineering background, because I know coding, but I'm not, I don't have that kind of build this stuff, structure this kind of stuff kind of mindset. Like, how would you help me to understand, well, first of all, understand the importance of hypothesizing something, and then how would you go about it? Like, what kind of stuff, beside all of those, like user research, asking surveys, and all that things that we could read online. What are some of the things that comes really uniquely from you, that you feel like, you know this is something that I do, this is something that I find success in a lot of cases. You should do that too.
I mean, I didn't quite get your question, do you mean to really ask about how I would explain the whole process of hypothesizing to somebody in layman terms, or explain the need, like why is there a need to do hypothesizing, or doing any market research or anything like that? Is that what you mean?
No, thank you for clarifying, or thank you for asking. I think I'm asking is what is your approach? Like, how would you go and validate something? Let's say I have an idea, I want to validate that, but since you have an engineering background, what are the steps? How would you approach this? Sort of an open end question.
Okay. Okay, so I mean, if it's a new product, for example, or anything, any new idea that we are basically thinking about, and most of these ideas come when you go for drinks with coworkers, thinking out loud,
Yeah.
and some should be just pop. It will just pop up randomly. It can be a new business model, it can be a new product, it can be a new service, whatever. And I think the first step that I do is to really, first of all, assess it using my tools that I have,
Hmm.
right? Whether it's the current research that we have, any things that I can find on the internet. I'll try to search for upcoming trends. Who is the market? What is the product? Who has tried it? Who has not tried it? What happened? What not? And then I feel after I have thought about of a potential business case for it, that yes, there is a business need for it, and it can be something which is profitable, if not in the short term, but something in the long term, and that's where the industry is moving towards. Then I would start, checking with the key stakeholders, whether it's internal ones or whether it's external ones. I think external ones are very important, but internal ones are supremely important, because ultimately, if you have to do that on your own, then you are the one stakeholder. But if you have to run a company, and if you have to run the team, that the internal friction that you'll get can really, really ruin the best of the best business cases, whatever idea it is, right? So so really, you need to first prepare your idea, wrap it nicely in a gift box, right? Make it all pretty, put some perfume on, and make it look shiny. Present that to the different stakeholders, and then try to get the feedback, then modify it, and then only you get the ball rolling. Otherwise, I've seen that it's extremely hard, and that's why you'll see, as you mentioned rightly, startups can take the risk,
Yeah.
because they're very early stage. There are like only three of them, and they can be like, oh, let's pivot our business model and become a software as a service company or platform as a service company. They can just go back and forth.
Yeah.
But when you're talking about a bigger company, that just causes more friction, more inertia, right? So you need to become a little more. You need to be strategic, but you also need to be a little politically sane to drive that initiative. Otherwise what you can do is you just leave the company and do it yourself. If you really, really believe
Yeah.
it is the idea, and you can get the resources which are outside the company, then yeah. So that is my approach. First thing, do my research, wrap it up, make it nice looking, make it an extremely pretty looking
Hmm.
product, or idea, right? And then pitch it to the key stakeholders. That is my approach.
What are, like, because that's actually, pretty much the PM's job, right? To be diplomatic. A better word that we're looking for is diplomatic, and I think that goes for a lot of PM, where we're sort of a poor man's CEO, right? We don't have the power of a CEO, but we need to be the driver to drive the sort of the direction of the growth of the company. And I think this is definitely shared among a lot of PM, is that how do we become more diplomatic, or because I think here's like some of the experience that I have is, if I become a people pleaser, yes, I can make people to like me, but it doesn't mean that I'm a diplomatic, because It just means that I'm pleasing everybody, but I don't get anything done. But on the other hand, if I need to make something happen, or at least with most of the business owners, what they're saying is, I need to get things done yesterday, then I cannot really be a people pleaser because that means I'm treading on ice, I'm really breaking down walls, and I'm just, power my way through. So I think what I really want us to know is there some kind of a skill set or sort of a toolkit that you use to tread those ices? How do you become more diplomatic, and what are some of the approaches that you take to convince all those different powers that are so hungry that they're trying to chew off others' head off?
So I actually learned a few things from watching House of Cards.
Oh, nice, nice, very nice, Kelvin,
So
right? Yeah.
so House of Cards was the first House of Cards as well as Suits.
Yeah.
So both these shows, they were my binge watching shows, right? During my college days, during my like very early on in the job as well. And then I realized that the first thing that you got to do, if you know, first of all, if you already know that the company is going to be where people are chewing each other's head off, then it's a good thing because you can go prepared. You can try to do your own research
Mm-hmm.
about the key people, the key what we call rainmakers, right? You can identify those strong figures first. But if you don't know about the company, then what you got to do is just as to what I did. I first did my internship here in the place that I'm working in. So during my internship, I basically just talked to as many people as possible, whether it's from my team but also from other teams. I just took up the people who have been in the company for 2 years, 3 years max, not the ones who have been in the company for 20 years because they are already, pretty much it's their retirement job. I would say that. So it's really those 2 to 5 years that those new guys, they are the ones who are looking for a change or who or and who will know or who have figured out who are the strong personalities. Then second thing is really look at who are the rainmakers, who are the strong bodies there, and try to build a relationship with them
Mm-hmm.
by either and I believe in directly approaching them and not going through their you know middle guys, because if you have something very valuable to them, then you should go directly to them. Otherwise, first of all, you will lose the credit. That often happens. Second thing is, more than ever, your idea won't even get there and go into the bed, right? So, so not to be afraid is one of the very important things. And once you know who are the people, once you have built a even just acknowledgement like rapport, right? Like when you see each other in the corridor and you just give each other a nod, that itself is a rapport. Yeah, with the big guys, that rapport is good enough. They remember you and you obviously know them. So and then you can start to be a little more, you know not really a people pleaser. Then you got to switch your gears,
Mm-hmm.
and then you got to do something that is needed, that is right, that's not going to please the people, because obviously the fat of the company, that's got to go, right? They are the ones who are slowing us down.
Mm-hmm.
So they are the first people who will not be pleased. But everybody will see what you're trying to do is for the long term benefit.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why they will stop listening to the trash talk from the other people who you have not pleased, and they will be on your side.
Mm-hmm.
So initially please the right people, that is the first thing. And then after that, just do what you have to do to get the job done. And that being said, the big people are not, they're rather quite smart and politically smart. So that's why they will be able to quite easily understand that, okay, this guy needs to be by my side because he's doing the right thing, and the fat is going to hate you. That's those are the kind of analogies that I use whenever I've got some interns working under my team. They're all
Mm-hmm.
from USD. and they basically asked me, like, how did you manage to get a job, what did you do, what did you not do, and what is the company culture like. So then I just told them that you need to do what you need to do. Do not let the company color you. You need to paint the company's wall of canvas or whatever you want to think about. You
Mm-hmm.
are the right. Don't let them color you. So in order to do that, you can't be a people pleaser all the time. Then you
Mm.
just become one of them,
Yeah.
you know, and you lose your own identity.
I think that's sort of a wake, not a wake up call, but I think that sort of really highlights people with different mindset that are different from the very local market. So, recently I've been talking to another PM, and we are talking about, things like this. And one of the things that we were trying to identify is why our PMs in Hong Kong are so, sort of a staying in line, girl and boy next door kind of PM, where, it's not, and not necessarily that they want to be a people pleaser, but they're just so limited and powerless that they feel like nothing right can be done. So we sort of came to a conclusion where, the Asian, sort of Asian culture are trained to become sort of a gear of a bigger system. We're a very efficient worker. And efficient as in we need little resources and we could already turn things out, and the accuracy is high. So as long as you ask me to do something, do certain things, I can do it in a very short time and a very cheap cost and with little error. But I think that also really reflects on how how good are we at asking questions. As you said, not being painted with the company's color, or really defining the tone of the company, or really driving the growth. Because essentially I think growth comes with pain, and growth comes with experience. You can't just grow without those. And but most of the company avoids them. They avoids pain, they avoids risk, they avoids really looking into the question of what needs to be done. Like if it's something going to hurt anybody, they're gonna shunt it away. So I think that's sort of a chicken and egg problem. Like even if we look into payment, like the simplest thing, e-payment or cashless payment, Hong Kong is such a vibrant city with a lot of money, and yet we're some of the most behind city, implementing cashless options. And this is just baffling because the biggest families in Hong Kong who are dictating the sort of the landscape of the business. They don't feel the threat to innovate. They want to innovate, but not as much or not as eager as, let's say, Apple or Google or any of those. So parking shop, we're still not using, like we're not enjoying the fullest scope of what the technology is bringing to us. Hence, we're not trained to be critical thinkers, or we're not trained to sort of being the color painters. Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I think it really comes up to be the kind of people who are in the driving seat of the company. In the past few years, for e-payments, Singapore has gone quite digital. In the past, I think, what, 9 years?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 9 to 10 years. That was when I first went there. They used to use cash quite a lot. I
Mm-hmm.
used to carry a big fat wallet because I had a lot of coins, the withdrawing cash, and obviously the nets system. That time they use nets a lot. And then afterwards came a time when DBS started promoting a lot of Visa PayWave systems. They started having discounts to people who used to start doing that, and it all came from that push that the new CEO who came in, he really brought, he really evaluated the new technologies, and he was like, I'm not going to sit on an old rock. I'm going to make something new, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to do something new. So so it's really good when that happens, because bigger companies can create a bigger impact,
Sure.
not just from their own perspective, but also from a geopolitical perspective. They
Mm-hmm.
can guide governments. they have a say in the government's room, you know. So they can really dictate the future agendas, the future regulations,
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that. What, but in Hong Kong, I think it's a little more conservative if people are more from, Asian background. Asian background is not as risk taking
Mm-hmm.
as you would expect them to be. I used to be a very conservative kind of person, right? But it's quite often such things happen that, a very small event
Mm-hmm.
really changes and it really sticks to you, and then you try to bring in the change in yourself. So that change actually happened to me when, during my project, or my final year
Yeah.
project review, I basically created a rehabilitation device, right? For so when people have stroke, they basically their limbs get affected. So it was to rehabilitate their arm and their wrist and their hand. So when I did that during my final presentation, I said that, okay, the PhD student helped me in this, the mentor helped me in this, blah blah blah, and then we created. So the guy was like, "Why the hell are you saying we created? You created." I'm like, "But he helped me. Otherwise, I would have not done anything.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I didn't know about rehabilitation. I didn't even know what the hell happens when you have a stroke." So he was like, and my professor was Italian.
Okay.
He's like, "See, I've seen this problem in a lot of Asians, okay, and you should not have it." He's like, if this was an American, he would say, "Oh, I built this thing from scratch. I studied this, I studied that, blah blah blah." He would take all the credit.
Mm-hmm.
But in Asia, we try to be a little more, "Oh, I did it with the help of this, blah 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 blah." We become a little more that conservative. I would still say this is still more conservative, more, we treat the whole team like a family and all that kind
Mm-hmm.
of stuff, and we would be shy to take credit, and that basically stuck to me. And then he was like, if it was an American over here, he would have said that I did everything. And I was like, oh, nobody told me that before. So that really stuck to me. Then I started becoming a little more proactive, a little more,
Mm-hmm.
try to do different things, and so on. And that's what has led me to basically speak with you, a person I've never spoken with before, sharing ideas, learning from you. It's a different world altogether. If you stay within that cocoon, it's a horrific thing. Yeah.
Well, what's because I think like the reason why I reach out is because I want to build. One is to help PMs out in general, and second, I want to build my own sort of brand of PM. And like, of course, I did quite a few projects here and there, and I definitely want to gain some traction. So, what's your story? What are you looking for right now? Like, do you feel any? What's your frustration? Like, let's put it in two different things. One question is, what's your frustration at being a sort of PM in Hong Kong or in general that you want somebody to help you with? And second of all, what's your plan? Like, what is something that you're working on right now, maybe in 3 years' time, or even shorter or longer? What are you looking for?
I think my current frustration is very much industry focused,
Okay.
because the medical devices industry, it's a heavily regulated industry. So doing a lot of things is not possible because of legality of it. But keeping that aside, if I would say, in general, as a pure PM's functions, frustration is it is it is really, if it's really like, when you join in as a product manager,
Mm-hmm.
you need to have some sort of an idea of what the hell is the product about. You need to have some technical skills
Mm-hmm.
to understand it, and then you can do whatever you want, right? And you need to have those, and you need to understand business dynamics of that industry, of that company, and of that product. Yeah, three different skills. That is something which I felt, and I could not find. before I joined the role.
Mm.
Product managers have a lot of transferable skills. We all have skills where we can collaborate with people, we can communicate effectively, we can try and manage different stakeholders, we can find synergies and stuff like that. All that is good, right? And product managers, that's why they like to move around as well, work on different projects, different products. So 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 when I was joining this industry, I was like, I have no idea, right? And from day one, I'm expected to behave like a product manager. How? I don't even know what the products are. I don't know, and this is product related. I don't know what the portfolio is. And this company related. I don't know how the processes work. But the third is what I expected to find out on the internet was, as a product manager, you need to understand the dynamics of that industry, right? The industry is a machine, right? And the product is just one gear or one freaking hex nut in the whole machine. You need to understand where it fits, how that affects the the sub assembly of the machine, and therefore the entire machine itself. That is something that I felt was, maybe my researching skills were not that great, and I was not looking for the right terms. But that is something that really irritated the hell out of me.
Mm-hmm.
And for 6 months to figure it out, to crack the code of so many different things, like regulations, compliance, supply chain and stuff is still fine, but legality, the finances, the business models used in the industry. So that is something that I feel lacks. There aren't a lot of resources that basically help me coming from a technology background, going into medical devices, right? If tomorrow I have to move to pharma within healthcare industry, pharma is a different thing, different ball game altogether.
Yeah.
There are different things you need to worry about. It's a B2C market. Some of
Mm.
them are B2B. Medical devices mostly B2B. You know, so different regulations, different ideations, different demographics with of the product, and also of the industry. And that is not something which is publicly available information. You know, and I think that is something that limits some of the product managers to also identify which industries they are interested in. Ever want to move into an industry which they have never even heard about? It's like basically jumping into a river without even knowing how much is the depth of it, right? Who knows, where you land, you break your foot.
Definitely. For sure.
So that was, I think, my biggest frustration, from this perspective. And what is the second part of the question? I got lost there.
So the first question is, let me think. Oh, I sort of lost that as well. So I want to know your frustration and, oh yes, your future plan. So what's up and coming, or what is something that, is there something that you're working on right now? Is there a project, or are you thinking of building something else aside from your work?
I actually want to stick to medical devices, but I would move towards a little more, different aspect of medical device where it is really technology driven. So with that I mean telehealth, med tech. I'm talking about prescriptive diagnosis, or restrictive diagnosis, and those kind of stuff, right? Because now I'm using this opportunity to really understand how this business environment works, right? What are the do's? What are the don'ts? Those don'ts are not limited by technology anymore. They are all limited by regulations, safety of the people, right? So, so this is that is my go-to strategy, my career go-to strategy. I wanna end up in one of the newer technology companies who are very much, they are great at what they do, but quite often their great ideas do not translate into great products the market needs. That is where I feel I can add the value. It can be a small company, it can be a big company, it can be anything. I don't have any particular company in my mind, I would say I still have just, like less than 1 year experience in the medical devices industry. It's still quite new, and there's so much more than dialysis. Dialysis is like less than 1% of the entire medical devices industry.
Mm-hmm.
So there's so many things out there, but I really want to go towards med tech in the future. That is
Okay.
something where I see myself in like the next 10 years, maybe.
Nice. Any projects that you're working on? Like, are you trying to build something on the side, or you're just very focused on your career?
Oh, so on the side, I am at the moment focused on. It's my newfound love for value investing, and
Ah.
I've so I found this book. I was first listening to a podcast, and then I started reading this book. It was pretty interesting. Then I was like, okay, let's learn Python and let's make some scripts and find. I know how to value a company, how to
Mm-hmm.
do the valuations and different models. But then I was like, okay, well, with the pandemic coming out, it's a good opportunity to really reassess the market and put my bets in. It's also driven from obviously from family perspective. I got married just this year, so
Congrats.
thank you. So now I've started thinking from a much more family perspective. I need to start growing money rather than just earning money. I found out that's a better approach. So that has led me to read more books on investing, try to understand what it is. Simultaneously, I just watch some YouTube videos to try and learn some basics of Python
Mm-hmm.
because I just want to do some simple scripting to just compare, the top 100 S&P companies. Okay, fine. Just do a valuation.
Mm-hmm.
What's the price? And then go ahead with it. Buy them on Saxo. That's the easiest way. So yeah,
Nice.
that's a side project that I'm working on.
So you're trying to invest into, like companies, or somebody else's future, and like, are you looking into bonds and stocks and stuff like that, or you're just.
Mostly, I'm looking at companies at first, but then I know there are a lot of instruments out there. Like there are mutual funds, there are this and that. But first, I want to give a try to the companies because that is something that I can do like as if I'm my own broker. You know, read the news, and bet against it. See what happens. I'm gonna do a 50-50 split. Some
Mm-hmm.
of the mutual funds that I already have and continue investing in those, and some into something else like particular company shares. What about you? What are you working on nowadays?
Good question. Recently, I could share the link with you afterwards. But I was working on a project which is a insight report on understanding how to write top read articles on Medium. So, every day there are, thousands of articles on Medium. I wanted to know within product management how to, how do you construct your title, to how long, you should write, what are the contexts, how should you construct your articles, where do you publish that, you know, all those information I want to know. If we're going to contextual base, how can I, reach top read? And the project is really literally scraping all of the information from Medium, and I think I've
Hmm.
got about 40,000 to 60,000 data points, and
No,
I pull them into Google Data Studio and generate an insight report.
okay. I think that's a brilliant thing, man. Like, it's really something that is helpful for the others, and it's really nice. My younger brother, he is he's a computer scientist. He just graduated college this year,
Mm.
and and I keep giving him such ideas because he has the skill set to do this stuff,
Mm-hmm.
right? To generate reports because he knows coding, he knows programming and all that stuff. I unfortunately do not know it yet. Yeah, and learning it as an evening hobby takes time.
Yes.
It's not the easiest thing to do. So So I keep giving him all these ideas. I'm like, why don't you do this? Make it, make some stuff, make it public, do some this, do that, and then he's like, yeah, I'll try, I'll see. He's a little lazy. He's searching for a job, so
I see.
something where which won't land me a job. I'm like, don't think like that. You go for, you chase you when you create value, you will get the limelight altogether. You create value, that itself is a very hard thing to do. That you don't get to do that on a daily basis in a job. Sometimes you're just putting away fires. You don't create value every day. So right now you have the opportunity, so much well do it.
Uh,
So yeah, it's a good thing.
I think that's right because that really, like, I think there's a commonality between the reason that I did my project and also what you're mentioning to your brother is that like a lot of people doesn't understand what money really is or sort of like in that essence, and which I think it's money is just an extension of value. So if I can provide value, money is going to come to me because it's an exchange medium of value. And the more like I think that really you could really see, that sort of in between like a finance industry and sort of like an education industry. Education is that there's not a lot of money, but there are a lot of people. So the value of the equation, it's relatively smaller. But if you're talking about finance, it's all about the money rolling. Big money come and go. Everybody is looking for that big juice. There, then, if you look into finance, you get the money. So it's essentially like I think it's sort of like really goes back to education and sort of cultural thing. It's that we a lot of us aren't able to sort of delay gratification. So we're always looking at rewarding ourselves by doing something that would get us a short-term result. That's
Yeah,
why a lot of local PM doesn't really do any portfolio. They're always just hoping job would come to them and or they would secure their job by working extra hours. But at the end of the day, PM doesn't like there are like I'm not saying that there are no good PMs out there. No. But I definitely see there are a lot of PMs that don't really know how to create value. Like
mm,
even just the sense of being helpful to their teammates. Like how can you be helpful is the essence of PM, and it's basically whatever the thing you do, no matter where you are, no matter what you do, it's just be helpful, create value. And I think that's absolutely like that really echoes with my project as well, is because I too, yes, struggle with looking for a job. Two of the last company that I joined recently, they went under. So
mm,
it's sort of they're both sort of quote unquote startup. I think one is called Bloomy and one is called Think Lab. So
yeah, I think that, yeah,
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 yeah. Oh my
yeah,
God! Like it's water under the bridge, but hell, it was a rough ride. But nevertheless, it's sort of like that really like tossed me is that the reason why I'm looking into project is because I need to be able to show the world, even if I don't have like really solid numbers. Like let's say I generate 10 millions of dollars just by doing this project. It's not necessarily the case of it, but
exactly.
I could always say what are the impact. Let's say I did this project. I've got 9,000 unique authors that are under my research. I could pitch them and say, would you like to know more about this project? And I think 9,000 out of, let's say, 100 would be a good, sort of a good, yeah, yeah. And maybe I could, within that 100 people, there is going to be one that is a high profile person that are, struggling with, getting more likes and more followers. And maybe
Yeah,
in that way, it would be my way to gaze into the bigger world and sort of get my footstep in, get myself in, and sort of make myself become more relatable and relevant.
yeah, yeah. I think that's very well put. That's
Yeah,
very well.
yeah.
Yeah,
Let me share my report with you afterwards. I think hopefully you share with me what you think about it because it's in beta. I'm working on the second version, but I think it's launch fast and learn quick is my motto. So I
that's
wanted to, yeah, I want to make it first, do some iterations, and I think the second version I'm going to be posting on, different Slack groups, and just spamming all Facebook groups, LinkedIn groups and all that, and just starting to pitch people and see how they react. But yeah, I would definitely love to hear what you think about it, and probably learn a few things from you.
Yeah, I would love to. I would love to give you feedback on it, and I don't write a lot of. I don't write any Medium post yet, but who knows? I might just start writing afterwards. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's sort of, I think everybody has his own way of telling a story, and I definitely feel that you have your own story, and it's definitely worth listening to. But everybody has their own medium of expressing themselves. Some do videos, some do writing. I used to work as a translator, and I love story. That's why, writing or sort of speaking is sort of very natural to me, and hence I chose medium. Plus, I get a few bucks here and there, every month. So
That's good.
uh,
That's nice, man. All right, cool, man. I have to rush.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So thank you so much. I really like what you're doing. I really like speaking with you about things that honestly you don't think about on a daily basis yourself. You really triggered some of the thinkings. So I really appreciate that. Yeah, and we should keep in touch for sure.
absolutely. Let's do this, some other time, maybe two down the road, and keep in touch. If you have any questions or you want to bounce off some ideas, let me know.
Sure, man.
All right, take it
All
easy
right.
and have a good day.
You too. Have fun. See you.
Bye.